Hey, it's Mike, Blackstone Valley Piano and Organ here. Back to the Cassavant Ebony restoration. Okay, so for contrast, what I did was we had 3 sets of ebony. Okay, so to better show, or for contrast, like I already said, what I did is I left one of the keyboards, or one of the sets of sharps, unrestored. And you can see again, there's where in the middle section the shape of the sharps isn't as crisp or as clean looking as the outer sharps because they don't get as much play. So again, this is original. Okay, you can see some of the black lacquer that they sprayed on from the factory is chipping away, and basically they just need restoration. Here's the other set of sharps, the second set of the 3. So what I did for good contrast is, again, I left this set as it was. I restored this ebony and held short of buffing to show you what it looks like in the intermediate phase. So what I did is I surfaced the top of them, and as you can see I restored all that crispness back to the sharps. It's a lot of labor, but what it does is that when you buff it, the ebony will look like this. Look how smooth, flat, and shiny that is. Now you can't get a sharp to look that good unless you have a good surface preparation like this. I mean, I know why the manufacturers sprayed the sharps with a black lacquer, even though the ebony underneath is just gorgeous. Look at that. Okay, these are new sharps you can get from some distributors, and as you can see, they're left in satin. The reason they're left in satin and that they're sprayed is that to get a sharp to look like this requires hours of careful surfacing, because if you don't do it carefully, you'll round off the edges. See how the shape of the sharps is all the same? We didn't distort that. So basically it just takes a lot of work. It's, you know, there's no other way to put it. So that's why a lot of people don't do it. To get something to shine and reflect light like that takes a lot of work. Just like the naturals. These are the naturals that are going next to these sharps. And again, the same thing. They're buffed to a very, very high gloss. There's not a scratch on there. It's just like glass. So that takes a lot of work. Now, if someone is looking for something just to be shiny and black, I mean, I'll be honest, you just put a plastic sharp on there. What makes ebony so beautiful is that it's a hardwood, and you can see there's some graining in there. It's very pretty. That's what makes ebony and other exotic woods and ivory desirable. It has grain. It has texture. Another thing is that woods, like exotic woods and ebony and stuff like that, when they're in this state, when they're buffed, they will actually grip your fingers, because wood and ivory and bone and all that is porous versus plastic is not. So these will grip your fingers also, in addition to being beautiful. Now, sharps is something I take very seriously. I restore lots of keyboards, and when a client will hire me to do the naturals and they don't want to hire me to do the sharps to this condition, it's not even really that much more money. What I want to try to avoid is that with this natural being so beautiful and buffed up to such a high gloss, if you put it next to that, the old sharps, it makes these sharps look even worse by contrast to the natural. So I can go a little further with this, because I had luck. A new keyboard came in today, and look what this client did to the sharps. Now, this keyboard came in for new ivory bushings, the works. It's going to get a lot of work to it, including beautiful new naturals, ivory. So they're spending a lot of money. And this is what they did to the sharps. They spray painted them and then rubbed them down with some steel wool or sandpaper or something. As you can see, these sharps have a lot of wear on the sides because your fingernails will actually bite into the key as you're playing it. So what they did is they put on a heavy coat of some thick paint or something on there and then sanded it to try and get rid of some of that erosion. This is just terrible. This is one of my pet peeves. So basically, to show you, here's that keyboard that came in. So we're going to replace the naturals, and you can see that they took the sharps off the keyframe and spray painted them. The overspray is just everywhere on the sharps. Let's look at the sides of the key. So again, this is what people are doing out there. So you can have this, or you can have that. And believe it or not, the cost to do this is insignificant when you consider that these sharps go to a keyboard that goes in a piano that is worth about $60,000. So the couple $100 that it would cost to restore these sharps is a drop in the bucket. And, you know, to spray paint these sharps like this is just a, you know, it's not a good sign of professionalism, because this is actually a dealer, a rebuilder. So I'm going to call this person and see if I can clean this up, you know, and turn something like that to something cleaner and more professional like this. Because again, this is probably a $60,000 piano. So this is one of my big pet peeves. So again, I don't want to get off here. Here's an original. Here's the intermediate phase where we have surfaced the keys. And then here's the final product where they're all buffed. Okay, so basically now we'll buff these. We have to surface these first, then buff them. So we'll finish that up now, and then we'll put everything on the keyframe and see how it lines up and how everything looks in relation to each other.